Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I have the opportunity today to work on the biggest entry into the Shakespeare Seawonder line. It's the 2191. I think we've done the 80 series, but not the 90. This one was made in the USA. Has a couple of interesting features on it. It has a replaceable arm for your reel in case that broke off. This is the Royal Maroon series, a very nice series, treasured by many who own it. This one is owned by Dick, and Dick has been a long time viewer to our channel. Dick is the fellow who actually sent in this tool that helps me to place small screws, get them started. And Dick is also the president of a salt and water club in New Jersey. And well, he's very involved in the sport. Found this one. This one is really hard to turn. I'm going to call this grease choked without even seeing it. I do think we can restore this reel to its former glory, and hopefully we'll get it back to Dick in time for the fall striped bass run. But we're going to take this reel apart completely. We're going to show you how to service it and how to keep this one running for a long time to come. So if you like these types of videos, if you want to learn more about fishing reels, if you want to see how they're made, how they're serviced, and how they're kept fishing, well, then I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to my channel, please use the notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting, and you can decide whether it's a reel you want to watch. Today we're working on a large saltwater reel. It's a vintage reel. Tomorrow may be the latest freshwater entry from a Shimano or somebody, and the next day it might be a bait caster or a bassin reel or whatever. We never know. You're kind of looking over my shoulder as I do this, and well, it'll give you an indication of the types of reels that are out there and help you make some informed purchasing decisions if that's what you're looking for, or maybe just learn a little bit more about the reel itself. Whenever I get these old reels in, I like to use WD-40 or some other penetrating oil to make sure that the bass snaps nice and easy. This one's got the mouse trap, which is wonderful. And we're going to remove the handle next. Now you remove this handle by turning it opposite direction that the reel turns. So the reel is turning counterclockwise, so we're going to turn this clockwise to try and get this handle off. And this one seems like it's on there pretty good. Let's tighten that up. Wow, but eventually you will get it. You're going to need to do that in order to remove the main gear. When I take my pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. I use a bottom of a fast food container, at least that's what I'm using these days. I've used all kinds of things, and I guess from time to time I'll change depending on what's available. But I do encourage you to find a system that works for you in terms of what you're going to do with the parts once you remove them. I know a lot of folks that have military backgrounds and automotive backgrounds. They like to lay the parts out the way that they've removed them, in the order that they've removed them. That's not me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. Use something that you're going to be comfortable with, and something that will help you organize them and keep them ready for reinstall. When I take the side plate screws out, I do like to make sure that they're all the same. That kind of is an indication of the quality of this reel. You just saw that they're stainless steel side plates. Reel plate is clean inside, and that's why this reel is having trouble turning. This is a completely grease choked reel, and the grease is actually working against it now. Before I go any further, I want to make sure that I turn that anti-reverse click off. That way, when I go to remove the main gear, I won't have a problem with the dog getting flipped off. Okay, this should just come out. It's a pin. That's going to release your crosswind arm. And with any luck, we'll be able to remove the main axle shaft. That's key to the next steps, which are removing the main gear and the pinion gear. So the main gear will come out now by pushing up and out. Just like that. I guess we're getting stuck on something in there. I'm not quite sure what. And this is a good place to tell you to take pictures. It's real easy to forget the sequences that you're doing them, forget the orientations of the parts and so on. Well, if you take the pictures, that'll help. All right, we want to take our rotor off now and get to the bearing system. And we'll do a cleanup on all of this in just a little bit. Now, I think we're still probably going to be using American sized nuts for this. I'm going to see if I have a metric that's going to fit. If not, I'll have to go to the tray and get the American ones. Alright, that one will fit. So the 13 millimeter, I'm not quite sure if that's the 1/2 inch or the 9/16 US thread, but these were made in the US, and the threading is still the old US threading, or SAE threading. Okay, this should just come off in a traditional counterclockwise manner. We have 2 nuts on there, that's what's holding these down. Make sure you get both of them off. Turn them in a traditional lefty-loosey or counterclockwise manner. And then we should be able to remove the rotor. Just walk that rotor up. And now you'll see a couple of things, and this is a good place for a picture other than a picture. I'm going to take this off the bench. I don't want that sand on my bench. We've got three nuts here. I'm going to have to go get the ratchet for that, so we'll turn that off in a moment. But notice that the trip nut is different from the other two, and that's facing the back handle arm. Okay, this assembly is held on by 1/4 inch screws, screw nuts, whatever. So I had to go get my nut driver for that. Notice that this one's facing the arm, and at about 8 o'clock is where the band sits. That's a one-piece band. Hard to mess that one up. There's a second. And now we have the different one, which is the trip. That'll help remove the cap. When that cap comes off, I'm going to leave all of these in the bowl, and that's too big for my parts tray, but it's not too big for the reel. So let's go ahead and take that, clean off some of the sand here, and see if we can't pull that up. And we can, so we're in good condition with that. We've got some accumulated grease and debris in the case. I'm going to take care of that. We'll use a penetrating oil. I don't care which penetrating oil. I happen to be using WD-40, but any penetrating oil will do. I use it as a degreaser. I'm going to use a paper towel first to see what I can wipe off. And if I can get it all off with the paper towel, then I don't need to do much more. It's a good place to take a picture of how the springs are oriented here, just in case you knock your dog off. Now that dog is held on by a cotter pin, so that's not going to get knocked off. But if something else happens with that dog, maybe you took your arm off to clean it up or something, just make sure you note that there's a spring that rests against the case, wraps around the washer, and then to the back end of that dog. I'm going to use a little bit of penetrating oil just to make sure that the dog trips nice and easily, and you can work that. This one's a little sticky. There we go. I'm try and move this up a little bit. This may. That's better. That's the way it should raise. Yeah. So I don't know how it got stuck inside the case, maybe when we took that gear out, but that spring needs to be up here to give it the right tension so that it springs nicely. All right, let's go move this back out of the way so we can take care of the main gear. All right, this is a little bit of a clean up an aisle 7 project here. So again, we're going to take a moment here, hose this down with the grease. We got to get all that old grease off. And we'll do our best to clean up what we can with the softest materials that we can. Before I go much further, I'm going to try and push this bearing off. There's a little cap washer on top of that. Make sure you're aware of that as well. Yeah, this bearing is sealed. So you can't do much with a sealed bearing. Fortunately, this one isn't turning. Well, that doesn't help it, does it? Let's see if I can find a replacement bearing for that. I know I have a couple of big bearings. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same one. If it is, we're lucky. If not, we're going to have to try and work through that one there. That could be a reason why this thing was kind of jamming up as well. Okay, my camera quit, so I may just be a little bit out of sorts, and if I am, I apologize for that. What I've done is I've greased my pinion gear, I've put the bearing back on and the bearing washer on top that sits between the rotor and that bearing. We now install it by pushing it into the case. Now we can take the cup and we remember that the one with the extended head goes to the back here. So I have to start these by hand. My nut driver is too deep to place it into the nut driver. We'll start it by hand. And also I want to start that first one because I won't forget the positioning of that as it's straight back to the arm. Now we can grab our trip piece, line the holes up on that. We have two more of these. These are ones with the flat heads. If my hand is in the way, I apologize. Sometimes trying to do this and leveling it for the camera and some of the other stuff is a little bit tough. And I guess I need to see so that you know what to do. Okay, start it. I'll finish that with the nut driver. Just want to get these started. This is where my big fingers and little screws don't play well together. Okay, tighten these down. And we'll tighten that down the last one there. Now we can go get the rotor. The rotor has a keyway in it. Make sure that they all line up. If it doesn't line up, you need to make sure that the recesses hold. We have those two small rotor nuts. Start these by hand. That way you're sure that you don't break the screw, the nut, or strip the screw. Throw your swing on your wrench to get that right. Put the second one on. There we go. Tight. And then one more turn with the wrench. It's a good time to give it a spin, see how it's doing. It's doing beautifully. Okay, that bad bearing caused a lot of problems there, I guess. Alright, over to our main gear. We want to do the same thing with the main gear that we did with the pinion gear. We want to grab a hard brush and pull through. Now you don't have to take that crosswind off. You could, you don't need to, unless it was bent or something. As long as your gear underneath is clean and the like, all you need to do on this one is to put a little bit of oil onto it. Please use fishing reel oils and greases. That'll ensure your success and well, keep your reel running. I'm pretty sure this was using fishing reel greases and oils as well. My guess is always it's been so long since it was serviced that, well, it just dried up in place. Not uncommon for a reel that's probably 50 years old. Alright, same thing now. Just get a new coat of grease into the teeth of the main gear. Then we can take both and insert them. Keep that arm below. Bring that in. And sometimes to mesh this, if it doesn't feel like it's going in all the way, turn your rotor until you get the mesh of the teeth. All right. With that done, let's clean off the shaft. Yep. The shaft is clean. We just have tarnish there. Just a light coating of grease. Anything more than that, as you put it through your axle shaft, it's going to get scraped off here. Let's go ahead and put that in. Bring that down and align the hole in that axle shaft with your crosswind arm. Push that pin all the way through until it seats. And now I'm going to grab that handle, put that on. We'll take an internal view before we lock this up to make sure that it's okay. No sense putting the side plate on if the piece isn't working. I hear the handle knob is kind of squeaky. This is another place where penetrating oil does wonders. There we go. All right, let's take an internal look, see what's going on there. That's how your reel runs. And boy, there's no effort in this one at all in terms of driving it. And we can put a little bit of grease onto the face of the main gear here where that axle, that crosswind arm is sliding. Okay, we got two more things to do here. One is to put the case back on. And I'm going to use that tool that Dick provided me with to put his screw back on. It's a split screwdriver. It's made by Klein Tools, and it enables you to wedge the blade into the slot of the screw to help you get it started. I recommend that you can use these to start. I don't recommend tightening that last turn with them. You can knock the screwdriver blades apart if you try too hard. So I always like to finish that with a traditional screwdriver once I've got them started. Okay, that part's done. Just grab the screwdriver for that last turn. We'll take a look at the drags up top. We'll finish this out. This reel has a little star, kind of a clip in here. Generally you can just kind of pop it up like that. It's a wedge clip. And let's see what we have underneath here. We have kind of traditional fabric washers in here. I think they're leather. That would make sense for the time. They're in good condition. They still have some flexibility to them. We have two keyed washers and an eared washer. This is a basic 6-washer set. And because they're leather, that means they're porous. I'm going to put some grease on there to rub them in to keep them flexible. These systems start with the fabric washer first. Next up is one of the keyed washers. Those are the ones with the rectangular centers and the round outsides. The next one in is the drag washer. Then the metal washer with the 2 points on it, that's called an eared washer. And I'm greasing these in between. I use my glove as a tool to rub that grease in. That goes next. And the top washer goes in. And then you just need to kind of press this back down in. Again, it's kind of a pressure fit. It's just walk it around with a screwdriver. Once you've installed the ring, come on over and put that on your post. And I guess if there's any place where the reel doesn't show well, it's on the paint loss on the spool, I would just leave it. To me, that's well, just telling a story of where the reel's been, how it's been used, and the like. I would leave it there. I guess you could repaint it if you wanted to. Alright, tighten it up, make sure it's tight, and then back the drag off. You don't want to continue to keep that compressed as it acts as a vise. Pushes the grease that you just put on them out. Let's give it a try. Well, what a beautiful little turning reel. quiet too. Well, that new bearing is going to make all the difference in the world. Let's put the anti-reverse back on. Got that classic old school click. Make sure that your bail is firing. This one's ready to go back to Dick to take fishing. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. This is a largest of the Royal Maroon series, the Seawonder 2091. It's a large vintage saltwater reel. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you did, please like the video. If you like these types of videos, again, please subscribe. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for all it is you do to keep us safe. Your efforts truly are appreciated. And to everyone, I encourage you to keep your tackle maintained, keep the reels ready to go, make sure that all of your stuff is there when the fish are biting. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.